Namaste, Mitron. Welcome back to Movie Community College. Marinam Tishe, the Warrior Queen, at your service.
Not only are we the underdogs of YouTube, but we're the only movie reaction channel that does not react to movies.
Yes, mostly we do not react to movies these days. And by the way, for our new friends, that's Jeremy.
Hello,
Yeah.
I am the professor. I am the beauty behind this.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. I know our friends on the channel tell me all the time.
Yes, I know. I read their comments and I delete them. I block them.
No, you don't.
This is U.S. calls out Chinese companies with military links.
Nice.
I believe this is going to be China Uncensored, which is a great channel.
Okay, let's find out.
The Pentagon just released a list of 20 Chinese companies that are actually controlled by the Chinese military.
There's a shocker.
Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. There's a very thin line between large Chinese companies and the Chinese Communist Party.
Turn it
The
up.
Pentagon has just rolled out with a list of 20 Chinese companies
Wow.
that aren't just close to the Communist Party, but to the party's military, the People's Liberation Army.
The Trump administration has drawn up a list of companies from China that have ties to the country's military, which may lay the groundwork for fresh U.S. sanctions. They include tech giant Huawei, the video surveillance company Hikvision, as well as China Mobile and China Telecom, both of which are publicly listed in New York.
This is a big deal.
Yep.
The designation by the Pentagon enables the president to declare a national emergency
Great.
and then penalize the companies on the list with sanctions if they operate in the U.S.
Great.
Again, one of those companies is Huawei. The U.S. government has been calling Huawei a national security threat with links to the Chinese military. They've been saying that for a long time, including during the Obama administration. The
Now,
Trump
you know it's bad if they were saying it.
blacklisted Huawei last year, which meant that U.S. companies were not allowed to do business with them. And the Commerce Department has continued to restrict Huawei's ability to use U.S. technology after the company tried to get around being blacklisted.
Shocker.
The Trump administration has also blacklisted Hikvision, another company on the Pentagon's list, for helping the Chinese Communist Party surveil and lock up millions of Uyghur Muslims.
Wow.
This new list of 20 companies tied to the PLA didn't come out of the blue. It was required by the 1999 National Defense Authorization Act. Basically, when President Clinton pushed for China to enter the World Trade Organization, there were people who were like, you know China is run by a brutal authoritarian regime that has talked about destroying America, right? So, Congress inserted this requirement into that year's National Defense Authorization Act as basically a way to make sure the CCP wouldn't use its membership in the WTO to get military
Thank you,
tech
Republicans.
that could
They
be
were the ones
turned
who did
against
that.
America. It allows the U.S. president to apply the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to Chinese military-linked companies operating within the United States. In other words, sanctions, which would be a serious escalation from the boatload of tariffs President Trump has already hit China with.
Yep.
It's not clear whether other administrations had previously compiled a list of PLA-linked companies, even though they were supposed to. Last year, a bipartisan group of congresspeople sent a letter to the Pentagon requesting the latest list. And the Pentagon released this new list in
Ruben
response.
Gallego was on that list. That's a
Now,
shock.
most of the companies on the list are state-owned, and many of them are doing business with U.S. companies. Like how in
That's appalling.
2012, China's AVIC set up a joint venture with General Electric. Or how
That was under
China's
Obama.
CRRC got contracts to supply passenger trains to Boston.
What do you notice about all
Philadelphia,
those cities,
Chicago,
dear?
And Los
They're run by
Angeles.
Democrats.
Run by
Like I
Democrats.
said, this is the first time the Pentagon has released this list publicly. But it doesn't mean that sanctions against these companies will happen. It only means they can happen.
Right.
The Trump administration may be using it as a bargaining chip. Last year was the year of, let's make a deal. But this year, the trade war kind of got overtaken by the CCP virus.
Yeah.
This is Trump in
Yeah.
a recent interview with the Wall Street Journal.
I think the trade deal is a great deal, but ever since we got hit
Listen
with the
to his
Chinese
Trump.
plague, I feel different toward everything having to do with China.
Chinese plague?
Fair point.
I'm sure that won't offend anyone. But anyway, there seems to be growing momentum in the Trump administration for decoupling the U.S. economy from China.
America's top trade negotiator, Ambassador Robert Lighthizer, on Wednesday told Congress he did not think it would be possible to, quote, decouple the economies of the two countries. Trump contradicted Lighthizer in a tweet
Yeah.
Thursday, writing, quote, the U.S. certainly does maintain a policy option under various conditions of a complete decoupling from China.
But
He
there
says,
is a
"Perhaps I
flaw
didn't make
with the
myself
Pentagon
clear."
list. Though it claims companies like Huawei are owned or controlled by the CCP's military, it doesn't address the fact that by Chinese law, any Chinese company has to help the military if they're asked to.
Wow.
They call it military-civil fusion. And according to the fine print of a new document that the CCP just released, China will ramp up joint military-civilian efforts to develop cutting-edge technology.
Wow.
In other words, the Chinese Communist Party is completely erasing the line between itself, Chinese companies, and the military.
Yeah.
And it seems like the U.S. is finally calling that out.
Yeah.
And now it's time for me to answer a question from one of you, a fan who contributed.
What'd you think about that?
Well, I would say it's a long time coming. Okay, so he talks about Bill Clinton, 1999, the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. So that's been around since Republicans were in control of the Congress. And a lot of things that people give Bill Clinton credit for, it's because he was the president who signed those things into law.
But he didn't do them.
They were
weren't
laws
his ideas.
crafted
Yeah.
by Republicans
Yes.
in Congress. And so a lot of those laws that we still have in the books today that are good things, it's because the Republicans did them. You know that most Democrats hate that law. So I was very surprised to see Chuck Schumer and Ruben Gallego signing on, wanting more information. That really did surprise me because they are super liberal. And they're, generally they don't take a tough line against China. So I really do hope that there is a decoupling. I told you today when we were walking around the mall that it is shocking that more countries have not pushed back on them and said, yeah, you know what, until you can be like a civilized country in the group of nations, we should be shunning you. And that's what should be happening.
Yeah, I agree, and shame on the NBA for going along
absolutely,
with this.
absolutely. Shame on
And
them.
I know that there's Tim McCarthy has introduced legislation which is going to go
Kevin
nowhere.
McCarthy.
Whatever.
Kevin McCarthy.
The slimy car salesman from California introduced
Kevin.
legislation that would make it illegal for companies to do business with a company that is tied to
And
the military.
unfortunately,
but that's not gonna go anywhere.
because Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House and the Democrats control the House of Representatives, it won't go anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I agree. Well, hey guys, thanks for watching. We will catch you later. Peace and much love.
Bye.
Thanks so much to Movie Community College for reacting to my video. I really appreciate it. And you legends, if you want to see more content like this, about the beautiful world we live in, smash these things around me or in the description box down below, whichever you prefer, and binge on as many videos as you like. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day. See you. Nice.